Hey guys, David Pinger here with Vital MX. Got a cool project bike today built by Jay Clark, and he invited us to come out and give this thing a spin. So it's a 2018 KTM 450 SX that has been basically converted into an off-road bike. Had a little bit of time on it as an 18, so he pulled this thing all the way down. San Diego powder coating, powder coated the frame for him, and he sort of started bolting on some parts that you think would be critical in an off-road machine. 18-inch rear wheel, that's a Tusk wheel set, Tusk rotors, Super sprocket, Tusk on the front end with the rotor as well. Some Dunlop tires on there. Suspension was all done by Race Tech and set up for off-road. The cool thing about that is you can say to them, hey, it's mostly off-road, but we also want to ride a little bit of moto, so if you can kind of find a setting that'll do both well, which is sort of what they were shooting for. The cool thing about building a bike like this is you can make it do everything pretty well. Depending on the type of off-road riding you're doing, if it's very, very tight trees or specific type of off-road riding, it could be tougher. But for what we have out here in Southern California, this thing, actually you can ride off-road on it and get it to work great, and then also jump on a track and have a lot of fun still. So that's kind of a do-it-all bike. ODI bars up top with their lock-on grips. All the plastic was provided by UFO, including the hand guards, which are clutch out here, all the brush and stuff. Obviously the IMS tank is a huge part. If you're doing longer rides, this thing holds a bunch more fuel, but it doesn't really affect the width of the bike too much. As I'm riding it, it doesn't feel a whole lot different than the motocross version. And a lot of times in the past, the tanks can be so wide, man, you feel like you're riding a tractor. So I was stoked on the way that thing felt. Moto seat, got us dialed in with a seat cover to match. It's all Decal Works graphics. FMF exhaust system, and we've got the spark arrestor in the back. So you're legal technically to go out and get on the trails out here with it. Got a good deep throaty sound, but it's not like ear-piercingly loud. So it's a really nice combo, I think, for moto or off-road, to be honest. ICW built these extra wide radiators. These bikes have a tendency to get warm if you're in the trails. You widen these radiators, strengthened them. And then another really cool feature, I mentioned the fan. It's a Trail Tech fan that we added, but IMS has this actually really cool overflow catch can that mounts inside the frame. There's a little pin if you look at the front of this thing, and the tubes actually come out of the frame and drop back into the catch can. So because we have some tight stuff out here, it is a 450, we were worried it might overheat. And so this catches that coolant that would spill if it does get hot and drops it back in once it cools off. And then the fan, we hit 180 degrees, that thing kicks on automatically. So really cool feature, it just kind of helps keep it cool. Pro Moto Billet makes some cool parts. One of them is a protector for the linkage knuckle on the bottom. On these bikes, if you are splatting into rocks or logs, whatever, you can damage the bottom of that. So they make a protector that just is kind of like a skid plate for it. Really cool, all plastic. And then they also make this mount-on kickstand, which again, if you're an off-road guy, you know the value of a kickstand. Scar foot pegs, these are titanium. This is obviously the Cadillac of foot pegs. And I'm really big on having a good sticky platform for my feet. These are great. And moto, off-road, kind of whatever you want to do. I would say even more important off-road because you start getting into a lot of wet, puddles, water, and that's when stock pegs can get really slippery. There's a couple other pieces in the back here. Bulletproof Designs makes a aluminum block that goes on and your chain guide attaches in there. What can happen in off-road, because these motocross swing arms are not really designed to smash into rocks and things, you can actually break those tabs off that hold your chain guide on. So this just gives it a little more bulk, a little more strength so that you can smash into some of that stuff. So inside the engine, we wanted to leave it stock to keep good reliability, but we freshened it up with a new Vortex piston, just stock bore and everything. And then we got a Vortex ignition and had Jamie from Twisted Development do the mapping on it, just to really clean it up, make sure it was running right. We do have a Hinson clutch in here. And again, when you get on that trail and you're constantly on that clutch abusing it, pretty important. So thanks to Ron and the boys over there, awesome job like always. Also want to mention Works Connection. We got a lot of their bar clamps, caps, the oil filter cover, a lot of their little parts on here, and just really finishes the bike well. Another cool little piece is this graphic guard here from Decal Works. They make them, especially on this right side by the exhaust where it gets hot, it peels off really easily. So this is just a clear plastic cover that protects that. That's a nice feature to keep your graphics nice. And then Jay uses uni filters, and what he'll do on all these 4-stroke builds is pull off the cage that's got the backfire screen, throw on a 2-stroke filter cage with a uni filter, and you get definitely better airflow through that way. On the track and trail, we kind of hit both with this thing. I wanted to just show the versatility of it. If you're in really, really tight stuff, we went up 1 tooth from stock on this. We probably need to go up 1 more tooth if we're getting into really tight trees, just because it's just too much gearing. It's rolling too fast. If it gets really tight, I want to be able to be in first and just chug around those things real easy. And we're a little bit quick, but for most of what we have here, this is great. You can make it work, it's totally fine, and then you get on a moto track and the gearing's perfect. Having ridden it a little bit today, we could just get 1 extra tooth, and depending on the type of riding we're doing, we could make that change. Right away, they did a good job on this suspension. Very, very supple and confidence inspiring in rocks or little bumps and stuff that you're hitting. So the off-road side of it is really good. And then when we went over on the motocross track later, I was hitting jumps and able to, even if I went long or short, man, no issues. Nice progression. Didn't ever want to kind of dart out one side or the other. So great job by Race Tech putting this thing together. The engine, super clean. I think Jamie obviously knows what he's doing. Anybody that knows him over at Twisted Development, really good at getting these things to run clean and no issues whatsoever. No backfiring, no popping. Throttle response is amazing. So just really good feel. And the muffler, like I mentioned, just has a good tone to it, but it doesn't get annoying. You could ride this thing all day, wouldn't bug you. Really good with all my controls. These ODI grips are actually pretty cool. Got a good feel to them. They don't feel too wide, which sometimes I feel like the lock-on grips can be a little thick feeling. These are good. Good grip with these tires. I'm stoked on this Dunlop setup. Again, trying to find a balance between off-road. You can go the AT81, but this would probably work a little better on a moto setting. So just depending on your terrain. For us, this was perfect today. And the fan was kicking on pretty regularly because we get into these back sections, but it's pretty tight. Your first, maybe second gear, just so not a lot of air coming through. And again, like on the motocross track, the thing just felt like a motocross bike, to be really honest with you. I'm not noticing the tank being wide or it feels heavy or anything. It felt like a motocross bike. So I was having a ball on both sides of it, and I feel like if you're somebody who's looking for that do-it-all bike, this would maybe be a really cool option for you, because with just a few changes, maybe the rear wheel, a couple skid plates, protective pieces, you can take a motocross bike and make it really a good dual-purpose machine. And I know, particularly back east, there's a lot of guys that do like to do both. Get out into the woods and do some trail riding, but also hit up a track once in a while. So peek at this stuff. It really worked great. Honestly, I had a couple of times when I smashed into some rocks today and no problem, glides right over it. Really fun and comfortable on the moto track. So I felt like this was a great machine for kind of anything that I want to do with it. Thank you to all the companies involved. This whole bike was great. So thank you to Jay Clark for letting us get on here and have a ride. Check out Dirt Bike TV if you're interested in more of his builds. Thanks for watching Vital. We'll see you guys in the next one.